In 175 AD, a Roman sculptor made something he should not have been able to make. Not because the technique was forbidden, not because the materials were unavailable, but because what stands in front of you right now, the anatomy of that horse, the weight of that figure in the saddle, the expression on that face, belongs to a level of artistic understanding that most people instinctively associate with the Renaissance, with the 15th century, with Donatello or Verrocchio or Leonardo studying human and animal anatomy in northern Italian workshops. Not with ancient Rome, not with 175 AD, not with nearly 2,000 years ago, and yet here it is. The sculpture is the equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius. Cast entirely in bronze, standing over 4 meters tall, including its base, it depicts the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius on horseback, his right arm extended outward in the gesture of a commander addressing his troops, his horse caught mid-step with one front hoof raised off the ground. It is the only surviving large-scale bronze equestrian statue from classical antiquity. Every other one is gone, melted down across the centuries for the value of the metal, repurposed into coins or weapons or other sculptures. Of what was once an entire tradition of monumental bronze horse and rider compositions commissioned by emperors, generals, and senators across the Roman Empire, this single statue remains. The reason it survived is one of the stranger accidents in the history of art. For most of the medieval period, the statue was believed to be a depiction of Constantine the Great, the first Christian emperor of Rome, the man who had ended the persecution of Christians and made the faith legal across the empire. That identification was almost certainly wrong. The statue dates to the reign of Marcus Aurelius, more than a century before Constantine. The resemblance between the two emperors across the centuries and the stylizations of imperial portraiture was close enough to cause confusion. But that confusion saved it. A bronze statue of a pagan emperor was exactly the kind of thing the medieval church had every reason to destroy. A bronze statue of Constantine, the founding patron of Christian Rome, was exactly the kind of thing worth preserving. And so while every other ancient bronze equestrian composition was melted down, this one stood. First outside the Lateran Palace in Rome, where it remained for nearly 1,000 years. Then, in 1538, moved to the Capitoline Hill at the specific request of Michelangelo, who was redesigning the piazza there and wanted the statue at its center. Michelangelo built an entire square around it. He designed the pavement pattern, the surrounding buildings, the approach. The statue was not placed in a space that already existed. The space was designed for the statue. Stand in front of it and look at the horse. The musculature along the neck is not decorative. It follows the actual anatomical structure of a horse in forward motion. The tension of specific muscle groups visible beneath the bronze surface, in a way that requires either direct observation of a living animal or a level of anatomical knowledge that the Renaissance would later formalize. But ancient Roman sculptors clearly already possessed in practice. The veins along the legs are raised. The tendons above the hooves are defined. The nostrils are flared in a way that suggests breath rather than stillness. The raised front hoof carries the weight of the entire composition, bronze at that scale, balancing a life-size horse and rider on 3 points of contact. Through a structural calculation that engineers studying the statue have described as genuinely sophisticated. The detail does not stop where the eye stops looking. It continues into areas where most viewers would never think to look. as if the sculptor was not making something to be admired from a comfortable distance, but something to be studied from every angle, in every light, at any proximity. Now look at the rider. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome from 161 to 180 AD. He is remembered today less for his military campaigns, which were significant, than for a private journal he kept throughout his life. A collection of philosophical reflections he called simply his Notes to Himself, which survived against all probability and became one of the most widely read works of Stoic philosophy in history. He wrote about the brevity of life with a plainness that does not comfort so much as clarify. He wrote about the futility of fame, the smallness of any individual life measured against the span of time, the necessity of acting rightly regardless of whether anyone was watching or whether the record would survive. The irony is that the record survived, the journal survived, the statue survived. The man who wrote most extensively about the certainty of being forgotten became one of the most enduringly present figures of the ancient world. His expression in the bronze is not triumphant. The outstretched arm is the gesture of an address, a salute, or a clemency. Historians have debated which reading is correct since the Renaissance, but the face above it carries something quieter. Not the compressed aggression of a military commander, not the idealized blankness of a divine figure, something more specific than either. The statue was originally gilded. Covered entirely in gold, it would have caught the Roman sun from across the Forum, visible across vast distances, unmistakably imperial. Traces of that gold still remain in the protected areas of the bronze, beneath the horse's mane, inside the folds of the emperor's cloak, enough to understand what the completed work once looked like and how completely different it would have appeared from what you see today. What now reads as dark and aged would have been blinding. The same anatomy, the same detail, the same expression, all of it burning gold in the afternoon light of ancient Rome. The question this statue leaves me with is not technical. It is not about how the bronze was cast, or how the anatomy was studied, or how the structural engineering of the raised hoof was calculated. Those questions have answers, even if the answers are incomplete. The question is simpler. A sculptor in 175 AD looked at a horse and a man and understood both of them with a precision that would not be surpassed for 1,000 years. He then translated that understanding into bronze at a scale that has not been exceeded. He created something that survived the fall of the empire that commissioned it, the religious transformation of the civilization that inherited it, 1,000 years of medieval obscurity, and the melting down of every comparable work that once existed alongside it. We do not know his name. We do not know whether he worked alone or led a workshop, whether he spent months on the horse's anatomy or produced it quickly from established practice. We know almost nothing about the process. We only know what he left behind. Whether what he achieved was the result of a tradition so sophisticated we have simply lost most of its evidence, or whether this statue represents something genuinely exceptional even within that tradition, is a question 2,000 years of looking at it have not yet settled. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments.